dynamic routing. Now we do routing to create the routing table in a router so that router can take a decision to forward the data to the proper destination. So when the data comes to the router's job is to forward the data to the appropriate destination. And how the router knows that which destination is where, it knows because of the routing table it has. So we have two types to create the routing table. We can create statically, that is manually we create the routing table, and dynamically. Now when we create the dynamically, so it is called dynamic routing. Now in static routing, we can do the static routing. Static routing is a fast routing. It does not put any load on the router. Router will work freely because routers don't have to decide anything. Everything will be decided by the administrator itself because administrators manually configure the route. But in dynamic is less slower than it is a little slower than the static routing. Static routing is fastest routing we have, but static routing has a problem. It has a problem like it is not easy or it is not configurable for the big network. If you have a small network, 2-3 routers, 4 routers, you can manage static routing. We can have a static routing. But if suppose we are having a network, a big network, then static routing is not that easy. Then in static routing, it is not fault tolerance. Not fault tolerance, and it is also not manageable for the big network. Now fault tolerance means what? If suppose you lose a network, if suppose we have multiple paths and we lose a one path, then it will not take automatically the other paths if even the other paths are available. So for example, we have multiple paths for some destination, like we have one router here and it is connected to some network here, and there is another router here which is also connected to some other network, and from this network to this network or from this network to this network, when we want to go or we want to send the data, so suppose we maybe have two paths here. Like for example, we have these two paths. So we can go from here. This is a one path. Then we have another path which can go from here to here. Now remember, in the WAN network you may have multiple paths, so you have to decide the shortest path. Now in static routing, the path will be decided by the administrator itself because administrator is configuring it statically or manually. So when administrator configures this router here, it says that you want to go to this network, then you can go from here. Now I will choose, I am administrator, so I will say that from here I have to go from two routers, and from here I have to go from only one routers. So I will choose this path first. This will be my preferred path. So in a static routing, I will configure the network by mentioning this path, and I will mention that this is my first hop address. So my data will always go from here. Now if suppose I lose this network here and this path is not reachable now, this path is not available now, then what happened? The router itself will not decide that the other path, because the other path is already there, but it will not choose that other path. It will not choose the other path because we have configured it manually, and that is a problem. It is not a fault tolerance. Like if you have a fault here, then it will not go for the other path. Administrator has to manually configure the other path. That means when the administrator sees this, that this network is now not available, then it will select this as a first hop address, and then the router will decide to set the data from here. So because everything is manual, so it has to be decided manually. But This is one of the problem. Then it is not easy to manage in the big network. Then also it is like human errors also can be happen. Human errors can also be happen. That means when suppose you are configuring the static routing, that means the configuration is done by the administrator. Administrator is a human, so it can make a mistake. It can make a mistake. For example, on this router, if I configuring the routing for this network, like I'm creating the route for this network here, so it has to go from this side. It cannot reach the network from this side. So I have to mention this is a first hop address. But if suppose mistakenly administrator mention this as a first hop address, then it will not reach the destination. And again, if suppose I want to go to this network from this router, and I have to mention the first hop address, not the second, third or fourth. I have to mention the first hop, and this will be the first hop address. But if suppose mistakenly I mention this as a first hop address, then again the network will not be reachable. Again, it is a misconfiguration. So it is configured by the human, so it can be the misconfiguration. So misconfiguration can happen in static routing. Now for all of these problems we have the dynamic routing. Now static routing normally we use for the small network, and also we use for the backup. For the backup for the big network, like big networks, we configure the dynamic routings, and for the backup route we use the static routing also. In case suppose the dynamic routing is not working, then our router will use the backup path by using this static routing. We can do that, but normally in a big network we use the dynamic routing. So this dynamic routing is an alternate method of routing, and this method uses layer 3 protocol to automatically find a neighboring routers and creates our updates routing tables on routers. So very simple, dynamic routing we do what? It will automatically create the routing table. So we don't have to decide and configure the routing table manually. It will decide the routing table automatically, and it will get the information from neighboring routers. Like if we configure the dynamic routing on this router, so it will get the information about the networks from its neighboring routers. Neighboring routers, that means this router and this router. They will inform this router that we have these networks available and you can choose one of the paths from there. So this method is easy to configure and maintain, but however this method is resource intensive, that is they require more CPU process, memory and bandwidth of router. Dynamic routing protocols are used in large network. Now this is one of the drawback, and that is why the static routing is very fast. Because in static routing, routers don't have to decide anything. They don't have to use their processing power. They just do the forwarding, because the routing table we have created manually. But dynamic routing, they have to create the routing table and they have to decide the path automatically, that means by their self. So they need a more processing power and more bandwidth also. That is why the dynamic routing is not faster than the static routing. Static routing is more fast, but because it is dynamic, it finds the paths automatically. We use the dynamic routing for the large network. Now what we do in dynamic routing? In dynamic routing we actually use the protocols. We use the routing protocols, and these routing protocols do what? They find the path for us, and they find the path for us automatically. Now when we talk about the routing protocols, so the routing protocols are in two categories. These are in two categories. First category is interior gateway protocols. We can call them IGP. Interior gateway protocols are used for routing within a single routing domain. A routing domain is a domain with the same protocols and policies. Example, these protocols. These all protocols are a single domain protocols, or we can say interior gateway protocols. Like this, we can say like this is our network domain, where we have multiple different routers, and these all routers are using same routing protocols and policies, and that is why we call this is as a our routing our network domain. It is like we can compare it with the Microsoft domain. We can compare it with the Microsoft domain. So it is also, we can say, it is our routing domain, where the data will route, the network will route, our data will route within the domain. So within the domain, routing domain, the protocols we use is called interior gateway protocols. These protocols called interior gateway protocols, and we have routing information protocol, in short RIP. Then we have interior gateway routing protocol, IGRP. Then we have enhanced IGRP, that is enhanced interior gateway routing protocol, EIGRP. Then we have open shortest path first, that is OSPF, and also we have intermediate system, it is called ISIS. Then the second category for the routing protocols are this EGP. Now EGP means exterior gateway routing protocols, and these EGP protocols are used for routing between two or more routing domains, and it also helps to routing between multiple routing protocols. And the protocol we use for the exterior gateway protocol is called border gateway protocol, and it is called BGP. So what it do here, it actually sits outside the domain, routing domain, and try to do the communication between two routing domains. For example, this routing domain, and we can say this is a routing domain. Why? Because this is owned by a single company. So this is owned by one company, so other company can have their own domain also, routing domain, where they have their own networks, routers, and everything. Now when suppose they both companies wants to do some communication, or they are working on some same projects, so they want to do some communications within them, so they can do what? They can communicate by using this protocol. So we use one router here, which will connect these two routing domains, and on this router we will configure this BGP protocol. And why it is called EGP, exterior gateway protocol? Because it is sitting outside of the routing domain. You can see this is one routing domain, this is another routing domain, and this is configured outside of the routing domain, and it is why it is called exterior gateway routing protocol. So in dynamic routing we use the protocols, and these are the protocols we have, and the protocols are in two categories, IGP and EGP. So IGP is which resides inside the routing domain, and EGP which resides outside the routing domain and try to connect two or multiple routing domains together. IGP we have RIP, IGRP, EIGRP, OSPF and ISIS, and EGP we have this protocol BGP, that is border gateway protocol, BGP. Now I will show you one of the routing protocol first, that is RIP. So first we will see this RIP protocol, that how we can configure it and how it works. Let's see the first RIP here, how we can configure it. So this is our network. Here we have four routers, four different sites of those connected to those routers, and in these networks we have, in these sites we have these networks like network 10, network 172.16.0.0 and 192.168.1.0 network here. Now we want to do the routing. Now if we do the static routing, then we have to make sure that all router knows about all the other networks manually. So if you go to one of these router, we can see show IP interface brief command to check the status of the interfaces. So we can see that we have a fast Ethernet 0/0 which is connected, and it is having this IP address from the network 10, and on the serial interface 0/0 we have this IP address 20.0.0.1. This is from network 20. Now we can check the routing table by giving the command show IP route. So when we give the show IP route command, it shows the current routing table. And what it's showing here currently, that it is having only, it knows only about the connected network. C means connected. It knows only about the connected network. And how? Because this network 10 is connected to fast Ethernet port. Why? Because you see here on this fast Ethernet port we have this IP. We have configured this IP address from the network 10. So that means the network is connected to this fast Ethernet port. Then the other network connected is 20 and it is connected from serial interface 0/0. And why? Because on this serial interface 0/0 we have given this IP address. Now other networks, any other networks, our machine, our router don't know about any other network. Now when it don't know any about any other network, so when we try to do the communication, we'll not be able to do the communication. And same as the all routers don't know anything about the other network, they only know the connected network. For example, in this router, when I go and check the routing table, I say show IP route. So it says it knows about these 20, 30 and 172.16.0.0. Why? Because they are directly connected to these interfaces. And we can say that it is connected from this interface 20, interface 30, and from here it is connected to 172.16.0.0. But this router does not know about anything about this 192.168, and also it does not know about this network 10. This router also don't know about these other networks. It knows only about this network which is connected to serial interface, which is 30, and from fast Ethernet it is connected this 192.168.0.1.0 network. So this router knows about this network, this router knows about the connected network. So to make the routing work, we have to make sure that our router knows about all the other networks available. So this only knows about 30 and 192.168.1.0. So if they don't know about the networks, so if we try to do the communication, will not do the communication. So if I try to do ping from this machine, I'll go to command terminal. I will try to ping one of the IP from this network. Let's say 172.16.0.2. Will not get any reply. We get what? Destination host unreachable error, and it is coming from our own router. It is coming from our own router. This is our router. This is the same network router, and it is saying that I cannot reach there because I don't know anything about that network. So when we configure the routing, that means we create the routing table and we make that router know that what are the other networks available. Now in static routing, we do what? We create the routing table manually. We manually configure that this network is there and you can reach the network from this first hop. This network is also there and you can reach the network by using this first hop. That we configure it manually. Now it will be difficult when we have a big network, complex network, and also it will be it is not a redundant, it is not a fault tolerant, it is also problem of humans, like if human errors can also be there. So because of those all things, we do what? We configure the dynamic routing, and let's see how we can configure it. So first I will show you how we can configure the RIP, routing information protocol. So we go to the router. To check the routing table, we give command show IP route and it shows the current routing table. And it shows only the connected networks, that is 10 and 20. Now I will go to config terminal and then I will do what? I will give a command router. Now this command router is to enable the routing protocol. So we can enable any routing protocol by using this command. So if I give a question mark here, it says that you can run RIP for the routing information protocol. You can run OSPF command to run the open shortage fast first command routing protocol, and we can run EIGRP for enhanced gateway routing protocol. Now IGRP is not available here. IGRP is not available here. ISIS is also not available here because these are not under the ICND. It is not under the CCNA level, and IGRP is actually disabled. It is discontinued because it is not, because instead of IGRP we have now enhanced IGRP. It is actually enhanced version of the IGRP. So we don't use, or we're not having IGRP available now. So anybody who wants to use IGRP, they use enhanced IGRP. So that is why we have EIGRP, we don't have IGRP here. Also it is giving me option to configure the BGP also. BGP, that is broader gateway protocol, and that is the exterior gateway routing protocol. And these are the interior gateway routing protocols. Now I want to configure the RIP. So what I will do, I will select RIP here. And if I put a question mark here, so I don't have any other command, that means I can now press enter. When you see the CR, that means carriage written, that means you can now press enter. Now when I press enter, we are under now the router mode. Now remember, the router mode is routing. So this mode we use to configure the routing protocols. Whether any protocol we use, RIP, OSPF or EIGRP. Right now we are using the RIP. Now when we are configuring the RIP protocol, so RIP is actually having two versions. RIP is having two versions, version 1 and version 2. Version 1 was the old one, and now we have the latest version, that is version 2. Like version 2 is the updated version. So if you want to decide that which version you want to use, now remember, if you are configuring version 1 on this router, then you have to configure version 1 on all the other routers. Otherwise the routing will not work. So if you configure version 1 on one router, and the version 2 on other router, then your routing will not work. So you have to make sure the version will be same for all the routers. So either you use version 1 or 2, you have to use it on all the routers. So if you want to decide the version, if you don't give a version, then it will go for the version 1 by default, and if you want to change it to version 2, then you give the command version. So you have two versions of RIP version 1 and RIP version 2. So if you don't decide the version 2, if you don't give this command version, so it will go by the default version 1. So if I want version 2, then I will give version 2, otherwise it will go for version 1 by default. I am not giving version 2 here, so I will go with the version 1. Okay, now after deciding the version, what we do, we have to decide the network. Now this is very simple. We give and decide the connected network, only connected network. Remember, we just have to mention only the connected network. In static routing, what we do, we mention all the not connected network. Not connected network, that means within our domain, routing domain, whatever the network we have, all the networks we have to mention one by one. Because you know, in config mode you can run only one command per line. So you have to mention all the networks manually in static routing. If you suppose in your routing domain you have 100 of networks, then you have to mention each and every network one by one, and that is why it is not easy to configure and manage the static routing. Now in this dynamic routing, in this RIP, what we have to do, we just have to mention the connected network. No matter how many networks we have in our routing domain, how many networks we have, we just have to mention only the connected network. Connected network for this specific router. So for this router, we have seen that in routing table, like when we run this show IP route command, so we saw that we have these two networks connected. So we just have to mention only these two networks, and one network per line, that means one by one we mention these two networks, network 10 and 20. So for mentioning the network, we use the command network and then we mention the network. Remember, you give the network IP here. You don't give the host IP, you give the network IP here. So network IP is for the class 10, class A 10 network is what? 10.0.0.0. And if you have any subnetting, then you will go with the subnetting and mention the network address according to your subnet. Right now I'm not having any subnetting, so this is my default network address. Enter. We have another network, that is network 20, so I will mention that network also, network 20. Now done. Now I don't have to give any other command. That's it. The routing is done for the RIP here in this router. So I will exit from here and again I will see show IP route. Now I have configured the routing RIP here, but still it is not showing other networks. It is still showing only the connected network. Now why it is not showing other network? Why the routing is not working? Because we have not configured it for the other routers. We have only configured it on this router. We have not configured it on the other routers. So when we configure the RIP protocol on all these other routers, then what? They will do the communication to each other, and they will do what? They will exchange the information and then they will create the routing table. So they will create the routing table manually, automatically, by exchanging the information from neighboring routers. So we have to configure the neighbor router, then only we can see the routing table is created. So I will go to this router, and here in this router we can see these three networks are connected. So first I will check that what are the connected networks we have. So I will give the command show IP route, and we can see that these three networks are connected to this router. So I just have to mention that connected network. So I will go for router RIP. I'm not using version 2, so I will go with version 1 default. So I will mention the network by using the network command. First network is 20. Then second network is 30, connected network. Then third network is 172.16.0.0. Now it is done for this router. Now I will go for other router, the last one. I will check first what are the connected networks here. Show IP route. To see the routing table, now here we have only two networks connected, 30 and 192.168.1.0. So I will only mention that. So router RIP network 30 is network 30, then network 192.168.1.0, and it is done. So the configuration is done now. Now I will check the routing table again. Show IP route. Now you see automatically it has detected the other networks, because we have now configured the routing on RIP. We have configured the RIP on all the routers available. Now what we saw here, what we see here, we see this C is the connected network. It was previously showing it is connected to serial interface, and this C is this 192.168.1.0. It was previously showing it is connected to fast Ethernet port. But now it knows about these networks also, network 10, network 20, and network 172.16.0.0. And you can see it is showing R here. Now R means, you can see the list here, ports, it says R for RIP. That means these networks, it is coming from RIP. It is configured from RIP protocol. So what it is saying that it is having this network, and it can go via this interface, this IP address or this first hop address. There is a network 20, and it can go from this interface, this first hop address. And again there is a network 172.16, and it can again go via this first hop address. And also it is showing the outgoing interface, that these are the outgoing interface where it can reach these network. So it can automatically find that this network, it can go from this side, from this interface, this outgoing interface, and it can go via this first hop address. And for this network 20, again it can go via this first hop address. Again for network 10, it can go via this first hop address and this outgoing interface. So it finded the network automatically. Again we'll go to Thane and check show IP route, and this one also finds it very quickly, and it finds it very right, like it has these three networks are already connected. It knows now RIP, from RIP it knows the network 10, and it can go via 20.0.0.1, and this is the outgoing interface for that. And then for this network 192.168.1.0, it can go via 30.2 first hop address, and from this serial interface, outgoing interface. And you can see here, to go to network 10, it can go from this side, and this is the first hop address, this is the outgoing interface. And for network 192.168.1.0, it can go from this side, and this is the first hop address, and this is the outgoing interface. So it knows about this by using the dynamic routing. Again we'll check the Andheri. It was only known about these connected networks. Now when I run again show IP route, now it knows other networks also, and it knows that it can reach those networks via these first hop address 20.0.0.2. and if you check here, this is the first hop address for all these three networks, where it can go from this side. Now all the router knows about the routings, all the other networks. Now when I try to ping that destination machine, it will get the reply now. We will not get the destination host unreachable error, we get the reply. And then we can get the reply from this network also. The last one, like I want to ping 192.168.1.2, and I will get the reply. So I get the reply here because they are connected. Okay, I am not getting a reply here. Now why I am not getting the reply? This is also interesting. You should know that why it is not getting the reply. Remember, in these network you have to mention the gateway, otherwise it will not get it to the router. In these machines, if I check, I have not mentioned the gateway. I go to IP address. Okay, even I have not configured the IP addresses. So let me configure the IP address and gateway properly. So make sure you configure the IP and gateway properly, so you will get the reply. Now I will try again. It was not showing, it is not showing destination host unreachable. It was showing timeout because the other machine was not able to reply, but now the other machine is replying. So we are now connected, and we are connected with the routing protocol RIP. We have configured the routing protocol, dynamic protocol RIP, and you see it is very easy. Now no matter how big network we have, we can easily configure the RIP because we just have to mention the connected network. We don't have to mention any other network. The routing protocol and the router will find the path by itself, and it will find the path automatically and dynamically, and that is why it is called dynamic protocol and dynamic routing. We saw that how this RIP protocol we configure, it finds the path automatically. And in static we have to configure the path manually. Now how it finds the path automatically? This is the question. So when the router try to find the path, let's say for example we have two paths here, like we are on this router and we want to go to this network here, and we have two paths here. We can go from this side, we can go from this side. But what is the best path? If you can say that this is the best path because it is having a one router only, so we can reach quickly. This one has two routers, we can reach. It will take a less time, a little more time. Now in static routing, what we do, we configure this route manually. We give a first hop address of this router manually. So when we give manually, that means we give manually that this router is we can go from this router. But in dynamic we saw that we didn't mention anything. We only mentioned the connected network. Router finds the path by itself, and it finds the first hop address by itself. So how the router decides, how this routing protocol decides that where to go. Now to choose a path, first the routing protocol actually sees the AD value. First they see the AD value. Remember, the first priority is to check the AD value. AD value means what? Administrative distance value. Now administrative distance value is like, for example, if this path has a value of 90 and this path has a value of 120. So this is a number. Now this is the AD value, we can say. Now what if this router wants to go to this network? So it has to choose the path. Now it will first check the AD value, and it will decide based on the AD value that which path it has to take. Now the AD value says administrative distance, but it is not related to distance. It is actually related to reliability. That means the number, how much the number is less is more reliable. If the number is less, then it is more reliable, and if the number is higher, then it is not reliable. So if, for example, in these two paths we see that this path is a small path, that means we can say that this is having only one router, so we can reach fast. But the AD value says it is 120, and this path instead it is a long path, but the AD value says 90. So the router will always take this path. It will not take that short path. It will not take this path. It will still take this path because the AD value is 90. It is less than 120. So that is why I said it is name. The name for this is administrative distance, but it is not related to distance. It is actually related to reliability. So choose a path. When the router try to choose the path, it chooses based on the AD value first. But actually it checks the AD value first, and then it will go for that path. So if the AD value is lower, that means it is more reliable, and if the AD value is higher, then it is not that reliable. Now who decides the AD value? So actually AD value is already decided. It is fixed. So we don't change the AD value normally. It is actually fixed. And these are the AD values we have. So these are the fixed value we have. Like when you have a connected interface, the AD value is what? 0. Now connected interface means it is more reliable than any other network. Like if the router is connected to some network, like this is the router, and it is connected to some network through its own interface, and it is connected directly to this network, so it is more reliable to the router, because if this network goes down, then the router will know first. The first router will know very quickly that this network is not available. So whether the network is available or not, the router will know very quickly. So that is why the AD value is 0. This is less than anything. It is much reliable network for the router. Then the static route. Now static route, which we configure manually, the AD value for this is always 1. Now it is the default one. It is 1. Now this default 1 means what? It is next reliable, we can say. It is a next reliable value because this value, this static route, we configured manually, and administrator is configuring manually, so router believes in administrator, and it says that when administrator configure it, that means it is always right. Administrator is always right, so it says that this value is right. So if you have configured any route, like we have other router here, and we are connected to them, and there are some network they are connected here. This network is not directly connected to this router, but still if you configure it through the static routing, so the value for this network will be 1, and it is more reliable than any other network. Now when you talk about the dynamic routing and these routing protocols, now in the routing protocols they actually find the path automatically. Now they find the path automatically. Now because of that, it is having the AD values here different than these all protocols. All protocols have a different AD values. Now why they are having a different AD values? Because of these protocols, actually the working of these protocols. And we can say that this EIGRP is having the less AD value than any other routing protocols here. So that means what? It is actually a very good protocol and it is very reliable protocol. Then the next best is the IGRP. IGRP is the procedure. It is actually the enhanced EIGRP is the enhanced version of the IGRP. So it was also a good protocol. That is why it was having the AD value as 100. Now the third best is OSPF, and the last one is RIP. So RIP is having 120. It is actually not very good protocol when you compare to all these other protocols. And that is why if the router says that you have a path which is having the AD value of 120, so it will not choose that path, it will go for 90 instead of 120, because it is what? It is less reliable than the EIGRP. So RIP protocol is less reliable than the EIGRP. Now external EIGRP, that means what? If we have two routing domains, different domains, which is connected to the BGP protocol, and we have configured EIGRP here also and also in this routing domain. So in the router of this routing domain, when we see the routing table of this routing domain, so it will have the information about all the local networks and also information about the networks from the other routing domain. So when we see the routing table here, so the routing AD value for the local EIGRP network will be 90, and the routing information which is coming, the network information which is coming from the other routing domain will have the AD value of 170. That means if you want to go, so you can go from this here local path, that is 90, and if you want to go to the other routing domain, then the AD value is 170. So that we can differentiate between, because both are EIGRP, you see both are EIGRP, so you have to differentiate that which is local and which is external. And for that the AD value for the external EIGRP, and external means what? From other routing domain, and it will be 120. So these are the default AD value, and it actually decides the reliability. Now in this case, if you have 90 and 120, so router will choose 90 because it is more reliable. But when we configure RIP, so in normal cases when we configure the RIP, then we configure RIP on all these protocols, all these routers. It is not like I will configure EIGRP here in this router, and on this router I will configure RIP. I will configure RIP on all these routers, or EIGRP on all these routers. So for example, if I configure RIP on all the routers, then the AD value for both the path will be 120. So if I go to this side, again it is 120. If I want to go to this side, again it is 120. Now it is a tie. So next thing what the router sees to choose the path, it chooses the matrix. It chooses the matrix. It chooses the matrix to decide that which path it has to take. Now the matrix is actually depends on the different routing protocols. Different routing protocols uses the different matrix. Now different metrics, that means what? We have two types of routing protocols. Actually, when we put these interior gateway protocols into categories, so we have two categories here. So these are, we can say, dynamic routing technologies. So dynamic routing technologies are method where various routing protocols are used for creating and maintaining routing tables. So there are various methods of routing technologies, and like this is distance vector and link state. So we have distance vector and link state. So distance vector technology, the routing protocol which is using distance vector technology, it choose the matrix differently, and link state protocols, the routing protocols which is using link state technology, they choose the matrix differently. So each routing protocol uses the different routing technologies. So for example, this distance vector routing protocols. So this distance vector routing protocol uses Bellman-Ford algorithm. It is called Bellman-Ford algorithm, and to calculate and exchange the routing information. And these routing protocols sends the complete routing table to a regular interval to their neighbors. And example of these are RIP and IGRP. This RIP and IGRP was distance vector protocols. Now these protocols are concerned with the distance and vector direction of the distance. So it only considered what? It actually considered with the distance and vector, that means the direction. So if it wants to go to some router, so it choose the distance and direction, like where it is going and how much router it is coming in between. This is the concern for the distance vector routing protocol. Now the technology link state routing protocol, which protocol use the link state routing protocol technology. So this protocol offer greater performance improvement and convergence than distance vector. It is a very good protocol than the distance vectors. And link state routing protocol uses the advanced routing algorithm to calculate and exchange the routing information, and these protocols are more memory and processor intensive than distance vector. So it actually a good protocol, but it actually put a lot of load on router, because router has to work very hard to get the path. So these are very process intensive. Now it uses the Dijkstra algorithm, or we can say shortest path first, that is SPF algorithm, for routing the distance decisions. And for the routing decisions they use the SPF protocol algorithm, and the protocol which uses this is OSPF, or we can say ISIS. Then link state protocols, routing protocols are concerned with the link status of interface than distance, and rather than sending the entire routing table, they send link state database, and according to each routing it develops its own routing table. Link state protocol does not send periodic update like distance vector. They send update when there is a change in network topology, and they trigger update. So we are seeing RIP, and RIP do what? It actually uses the distance vector technology, and for the distance vector technology the distance and the direction is important. So actually this routing protocol in this router will do what? It will choose the matrix distance vector as a matrix, and do what? It actually has a matrix of hops. So basically the RIP protocol's metric is hop. Hop means, we can say, jump. Jump means what? From one router to other router, when you go, you are taking one hop. So the this router will decide based on the distance and direction. That is the matrix for the RIP. So what it do here in this network, in this design, because the AD value is same, so the router decides that how I can reach this network. If I go from this side, so it will take one hop, then two hop, then three hop. So from this side it will take 3 hops to reach the destination network. Now if you go from this side, so it will take 1 hop, then 2 hop. So if it goes from this side, so it will take 2 hops. Now based on the number we can say that 3 and 2, so we can say 2 is good, so this router will choose this path to reach the destination network. It will not go from this path, it will only go from this path, because it uses the distance and distance and the direction as a matrix, as a distance vector protocol, and the matrix for the RIP is hops. So it will decide that it will go from here. Now in detail how it works, how it knows that how many hops it has. So how it knows that from this side we have 3 hops and from this side we have 2 hops. That is also interesting, like how this router knows that how many hops we have in between. So I will show you that also. Okay, so now we know that the RIP or routing protocols do what? They find the path. How they find the path? So first they try to see the matrix AD value. First they see the AD value, and if the AD values are equal, then they will go for the matrix. Now matrix means it decided by the technology it is using. So we have 2 types of technology, that is distance vector or link state. So the protocols which uses the distance vector, they use distance or direction of the distance as a vector. So RIP uses what? Hop counts. Now how the router knows about the hop counts, that how many hop counts we have to reach from the destination network. Now remember, when we configure the RIP, what we did configure only connected networks. Remember, we only configured the connected network, rest we have not configured. So what we configured here, like for example in this router 1, we have these 2 networks connected, network 10 and network 20. So when we configure this RIP here, we said that we have a connected network 10, and it is connected from this fast Ethernet port. It is connected from fast Ethernet port. Now because it is a RIP protocol, so the AD value for the RIP protocol is 120. So it is 120, and AD value is 120, and by default when the AD value is 120, and when it is because it is connected, so how many hop counts we know we will take to reach this network? So it is actually 0. Why? Because it is connected to this router directly. So how many hop counts we have? 0. Then we mention the router that we have one more network connected, network 20, and it is from serial 0/0, and again it is having 120 as a AD value, and because it is directly connected, so the hop count is 0. Then for this router also we did what? We configure the connected network. So we have connected networks 20, 30 and 40. So for this router we have connected network 20 connected from serial interface, and that is serial interface 0, and the AD value is 120, and because it is directly connected, so the hop count is 0. Then again it is having the connected network 30, and the 30 network is connected from fast Ethernet port, fast Ethernet 0/0, and it is also having the AD value of 120 because it is RIP. Then because it is connected, so the hop count is also 0. Then we have one more network connected is 40, and network 40 is connected from serial interface 1, and 0/1, again the AD value is 120 for this network, and because it is connected, so the hop count is also 0. This happens when we configure the RIP and we inform and mention the connected network. And remember, until we configure the all routers, we didn't get the routing tables. We didn't get the routing work. So we have to first configure all the routers. So in this router we have connected network what, 40 and 50. So when we connect, we mention the network 40 is there, and it is connected from serial 0/0. So AD value is 120 because it is RIP, and because it is connected, so the hop count will be also 0. Then we also have one more connected network here is 50, and that 50 is connected from fast Ethernet 0/0. AD value is 120, and because it is connected, so it is hop count is 0. Now once we configure all the routers with the routing protocols and mention the connected networks, then what, they start sending the routing tables to each other. Remember, they start sending the routing tables to each other. That means this router 1 will send the routing table to this interface, and also it will send to this interface. Now from this interface it reaches to this switch, and switch does not, it is not a router, so it will discard the packet, it will not accept it. But from this side it reaches to this router, router 2. Now router 2 will do what, it will compare its own routing table and the routing table which is sent from router 1. So what it sees here, it sees that it has network 20. So it says, okay, I also know the network 20, so I don't care. Then it sees that there is a network 10. Now it sees the its own routing table. It says, okay, network 10 I don't know. So now what this router 2 do, it creates the entry for the network, which is it don't know. So it creates the entry like this, like the information is coming from RIP, and the information is about network 10. Now where it is coming, it is coming from this interface. It is coming from this interface. So it says the information I got it from this serial interface, serial 0. Then AD value, because it is RIP, so it is AD value will be 120. Now what it do here, this router sends the hop count as a 0. Now whatever the hop count it will receive, now when the router 1 sends the information to router 2, so whatever the hop count it will have, it will add +1 into it. So this router sends 0, so it adds +1 into 0, and it gets 1 here. So as a hop count, this router 2 adds 1 here. That means it says I can reach this network 10 by going through 1 hops. Now no other information is here. Now what, this router 2 will also send the information. It will send the information to all its interfaces. Interface fast Ethernet, interface serial 0, interface serial 1. And it goes from all the interface, it reaches to this switch will not accept, but from this interface it reaches to router 1, and from this interface it reaches to router 3. Now router 3 will do what, it will check its own routing table and the routing table sent from router 2. Now it says that the 40 I know, this 40 network I know, so I don't care about the 40 network. But the other networks like 10, 20 and 30, it does not know. The router 3 don't know about network 10, 20 and 30. So it will do what, it will make the entry for these other networks. So what it do here, it will make the entry like I know the network information from router RIP, and information is about network 30 first. So 30 says it is coming from this interface. So the interface name will be serial 0. The information is coming from serial 0. The AD value is 120. And it can reach to that network. Now how it can reach? Now this 30, the router 3 sends 0. So again it will add 1 into it and it becomes 1 here. And that means this is the first hop. This is only one hop. So it can reach this network 30 by using one hop. Then it adds the entry for network 20, which is coming from RIP. It says the network 20 is there. I can go for the network 20, and it is coming from serial 0. The AD value is 120, and for 20 router 2 is sending 0, so it adds 1 into it and it becomes 1 here. Now again one more information it gets, and that is about network 10. Again it is coming from the same interface, and it is AD value is 120. Now the hops, it says, like router 2 says it's 1. So router 3 will do what? It will add 1 into it and it will become 2 here. That means router 3 says I can reach the network 10 and I can reach it by using 2 hops. And from this serial interface 0, serial 0/0. Then this router 3 also sends the information to all its interfaces, that is from here and also from here. This switch will not accept it, but it goes to this router 2 and router 2 will accept. Router 2 will do what? It has all the information, it does not care. It only don't have the information about this network 50 here. So it creates the entry for the network 50 here, that it knows from RIP network 50 is there. The information is coming from this interface, that is serial 0, serial 0/1. The AD value is 120, and it is sending 0 here. The hop count, it is sending 0, so it adds 1 into it, it becomes 1 here. And same as this router sending the information to router 1 also. So router 1 also sees the routing table of router 2, and it says that I know 10 and 20, but 30, 40, 50 I don't know. So it creates the entry for that 30, 40 and 50 also. So it says I know the network 30 by using the RIP. The information is coming from serial 0/0. So information is coming from serial 0/0. The AD value is 120. Now for network 30, router 2 is saying 0 hop, so it adds 1 into it and it becomes 1. Then it is also getting the information about network 40. The information is coming from serial interface. The AD value is 120 again, and this is also what for 40 the router 2 is saying 0, so it adds 1 into it and it becomes 1 here. Then it knows again about 50, network 50. I know the network 50 from serial interface 0. Same, AD value is also same, 120. Now for 50, this router 2 is sending 1 here, so it adds 1 into it and it becomes 2 here. And now the routing table is created. Now this is a routing table and it is created, and how it is created? By sending the information from each other. And now once the routing table is created, now it can do the routing. Now if you see our design, we can see the same somehow the same thing like this. So when you see the routing table here on any of these router, you say show IP route. So you see the information like this. RIP network 30, you can see the AD value is 120 and the hop count is added 1, because it is sent from the other router and next router is saying 0, it's added 1 into it, and because of that it says from one hop it can reach. So from Andheri, if you want to go to network 30, you can reach from only one hop, and this is the one hop. Then it is saying for network 172.16.0, again it is 120 and one hop. So it can reach from this network to this network from one hop, it can reach here. Then for network 192.160, it is getting the information from RIP and it is getting the information AD value is 120 and it is saying 2 hops. Why 2 hops? Because it can reach from 1 and 2 hops. And how it gets the information? This router says 0 to Thane. Thane add 1 into it, it becomes 1. Then Thane send the information to Andheri and it says 1. So Andheri add 1 into it and it becomes 2. So this is how the router RIP protocol creates the routing table. Now you see the outgoing interface also, it knows that I can go to that network through this interface. Then also you see the time here. This time will reduce. Let's see, when I run the command again, you can see it is now 4, 7, 8, and you see it goes up to 30. To 90 is the update timer. This thing is actually a update timer. So once the routing table is created, now you see after 24 the timer goes back to 0. So it is actually the 30 second is the timer. Now once the routing table is created, then the router, the RIP protocol do what? It sends the routing table after every 30 seconds. So after every 30 seconds they send the information to each other. That means once the 30 seconds over, then this router will send information to all these interfaces. Then 30 seconds for this router, when this expires, then it will send the information to all these other interfaces, same as for the other router. Now why this RIP protocol is not reliable? As you see the AD value, as we saw the AD value, that this router the RIP protocol is not reliable. It is not reliable because it is having AD value of 120. Compared to other routing protocols, it is not reliable. Now why it is not reliable? Because it is having a lot of problems here. It is having a lot of problems. Now what is the problem this RIP protocol has? The first problem of the RIP protocol is that it do broadcast. It do broadcast and it does not care that the destination router gets the information or not. As you see, when the timer expires, then it do what? It will broadcast the routing table. Like this router 1 will do what? This is the routing table of router 1. So it will do what? It will broadcast the routing table to all its interfaces. Here also and on this side also, and any other interface it has. It will broadcast it and it will not check the other router gets the information or not. After every 30 seconds it sends the broadcast. This is the first problem. The second problem is that it receives the information and it does not verify it. It does not verify it. That means when the router 1 broadcasts it, so router 2 gets the information and it believes it that the information is right. It cannot verify because it is broadcast. So it do the broadcast, does not verify. Then one more problem it has, that it only make the update after every 30 seconds. We can increase the time to 30 to 90 seconds, but it can go update only after 30 seconds. Till 30 seconds they will not do anything. They will not do anything till 30 seconds. So after every 30 seconds and only after 30 seconds they will send the information to each other. Before the 30 seconds they don't do it. And again they do it in the broadcast, and the broadcast means what? They don't verify that the information reached the destination router or not, and the information which is coming from the other router is right or not. Now how the problem comes? Because of these things, how the problem comes? Let me show you how the problem comes. The main problem for the RIP protocol is infinite loop. Infinite loop means our data might be loop around, that means loop, go and go and go, round and round and round, and never reach the destination. Now how it works, how the loop happens, and what the problem is, and how the problem appears in this RIP protocol. So what happened, let's say for example, I'm giving you the example that on router 1, this network 10 is down. Network 10 is down, that means whatever happened, this routers, the switch port is gone, the port is disconnected, or maybe the switch is corrupted or something. The network is not available to router. Now router, because it is connected to the router 1 knows directly that the network is now not available. Now this router 1 will not inform it to other router until the 30-second timer expires. Now 30-second in busy network is a very big time. In a busy network where in a second thousands of packets transfer from one source to destination, in that you have 30-second is very big time. But still it will wait for 30 seconds. But that is not the problem, because if anyone sends the packet to network 10, it will come to router 1 and router 1 will say that the network is not available. But that is not the problem. Now problem comes when this router sends the information to router 2. Now router 2 says that okay, the information says that network 10 is gone. So it removes the network from the routing table. It says the network 10 is now not available. Now again, because of the 30-second, it will not inform the other router 3. Remember, router 3 it will not inform until the timer expires. Now if suppose the router 2's timer not expire, but router 3's timer is expired before router 2. For example, router 2 has a timer of 30 seconds remaining and router 10 timer is remaining 10 seconds. So 10 seconds is expires, it is still waiting to expire to send the information. Now router 3 will do what? It will send the information to everyone. So it will send the information this side and this side. Now what it sent this routing table. Now once the routing table sent to router 2, now remember router 2 does not know about network 10 because it has removed the network. So it has removed the network. So what it do? It gets the information from router 3. Now it gets the information from router 3 that it says that network 10 is available because it is in the routing table of router 3. It is not in the routing table of router 2. So router 2 will do what? It will create a new entry here that I know the router, I know from RIP, I know the network 10 is available and it can available from this interface. Remember this interface. That means what? Serial 0/1, because the information is coming from router 3 side. So it says it is available from here and the AD value is 120 and the hop count, this router 3 says it is 2. So it adds 1 into it and it says 3. Now this information is wrong. This is wrong, but it does not verify it because they do the broadcast. It does not verify because they do the broadcast and it keeps the information here. Now what happened with this wrong information? Remember, it will remain for the next 30 seconds. Before 30 seconds, they will not send the routing tables. If after 30 seconds the router 1 sends the information to router 2 that the router is the network 10 is available in this site, so it will take the information, but till then it will have a routing, it will have a wrong information. Now what happened to this wrong information? When this machine wants to send data to any of the machine of network 10, so it will send the data to our router 3. Router 3 checks the routing table. It says okay, network 10 I have network 10, I can go from this serial interface and I can reach after 2 hops. So what this router 3 will do, it will send the data to this interface and to router 2. It send the data to router 2 from this interface. Now router 2 receives the data, it checks the data that okay, it is for network 10. Now do I have any information of network 10? Now remember, this one is not available, it has the wrong information. So what the information says, I can reach the network 10 and I can reach from serial 0/1. Remember, it was connected to this side, it was connected to serial 0/0, not 0/1. It is the wrong information. It says I can reach and I can reach after 3 hops. So where the data will be sent, the router 2 will send the data back to router 3 where there is no network 10. It will send back to router 3 again. Now router 3 will do what? It will check the routing table again. It says, okay, I can reach network 10 from serial 0/0, and it will send it back to router 2. Then router 2 will check the routing table. It says I can reach from serial 0/1. Send back to router 3. Then router 3 send to router 2. Router 2 send to router 3. Router 2, router 3, router 2, router 3. Our data will keep looping and never reach to the destination. This is the biggest problem for router, this RIP protocol, because this RIP protocol is actually designed in very early time of the networking. It was designed without any academic research or anything. It was designed for the small network, and that time they have not think about these kind of problems. But because these kind of problem comes, they have released the RIP version 2. Remember I told you about RIP version 2. So RIP version 2 is different than this RIP version 1. So RIP version 2 is actually different, and it do what? It do solves the problem of this RIP version 1. So somehow it try to solve the problem of this RIP version 1 because of this problem here. So this routing information protocol RIP, it is what? It is a distance vector protocol, interior gateway protocol, that is EGP, which is used by the routers to exchange routing information. Now RIP what do? RIP prevents the routing loops by implementing a limit on a number of hops. Number of hops, that means RIP has hop count to determine the best path between two locations, and the maximum number of hop allowed is only 15. Now whether we are using RIP version 1 or RIP version 2, the limit for the hop count is 15, and that is why the RIP protocol, we can't use it for the big network. RIP protocol is still, it is either version 1 or version 2. Version 2 is an advanced one, but still we can use it for the small network. So which is limits the size of the network that RIP can support, and RIP works well in small networks, but it's insufficient on large network with slow WAN links or on network with a large number of routers installed. So it has a limit of 15, either we have version 1 or 2. Now what it will do? It will prevent the loop. It will prevent the loop by limiting the hops. Now that means what? Let's say for example our data is on loop now. Our data is looping, but it will not loop for the infinity of time. It will do loop only for 15 time, because we have now limit of 15. How? Because every data, when it routes the data, like suppose first time when router 3 routes the data, it sets the TTL value. TTL value, that means time to leave. Time to leave is equal to 15. It set it to 15. Now when it routed first time to router 2, then it will do what? It will reduce 1 from it. That means the 15, it will reduce 1 from it, and it will become 14. So how many time it loops, that means how many time it routes, it reduces 1 into it. So from here router 2 to router 3 it goes, it becomes 13, then 12, then 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 2, 3, 0, 1 and 0. Now once the TTL value reaches to 0, either it is on router 3 or router 2, whatever, when it reaches to 0, TTL value is 0, then the router says I cannot forward the packet because it is now time to leave the packet. The packet is not able to forward because it is on TTL value is now 0, and the destination, the source machine which is sending the data, it will get the error. It says time to leave expire. Time to leave expire. Now why? Because it is looping in only between these two routers. It is not reaching the destination. It is only looping in these two routers. So it will not loop for the infinity of time. It will only go for 15 time. And after the 15 time, no matter whatever the loop, it will drop the packet. So it is what preventing the loop by limiting the hops. and that is why we cannot configure this RIP protocol for the big network. Now in big network where you have multiple hops and more than 15 hops, so it will not go to that destination. It will not go, whether it is version 1 or version 2, it will not go there. Then the other problem is for the update. It's do update only after the update time, and that is the minimum 30 seconds, and it can go up to 30 to 90. So only after the timer expire it will update the information. Now there are some other timers are also there, like the update timer, that is the 30 second. Then there is the hold down timer, that is maximum up to 180. It is maximum, then the maximum 3 updates time. Like if you have 60, so 60 60 60 180, you have 3 update time maximum. So hold down timer, or we can say invalid timer, it do what? It holds the information of the router. Now this will also used to prevent the routing loops. This will also useful to prevent the routing loops in router RIP. How it prevents the routing loop? Because it holds down the information for 180 seconds. 180 seconds, it is triple of the update timer. Now how? That means, suppose, remember, when this router 1 sends the information saying that the network 10 is not available. So what this router 2 do? It actually removes the information here, and that is why it gets this wrong information, because the right information was not there. So when the router 3 says that I know network 10, it says okay, I don't know, so I will create the entry. But if it knows that, then it will not create the new entry. So hold down timer will do what? Once the router 1 says the router 2 that the network 10 is gone, so it will mark this router this network as a down, but it will not remove the entry. Remember, it will not remove the entry until 180 seconds. 180 seconds, because maybe the next update the router 1 will say that the network is available again, or maybe the next update it will say that okay, it is available again, but till then it will not remove the entry. And now if it is not removing the entry, then when the router 3 says okay, I know the network 10, it says okay, I also know it is down and I also know. So it will not create this wrong entry. And if it is not creating the wrong entry, then there is no chance of loop. And that is why we have that hold down timer we have. Then one more timer we have, it is called flush timer. Now this flush timer is the time between a route become invalid and its removal from the routing table. So it is 240. Now it will keep this for 180 seconds, hold down timer, but if it is not getting any information about that network, so it is going to remove that network permanently after 240 time. 240 seconds. It is a flash timer. Now these are the features of RIP protocol. Dynamic and distance vector routing protocol, available in version 1 and 2, uses the hop count as a matrix, uses the Bellman-Ford algorithm, usually used in the small network, uses period update method. Period update, that means only after 30 seconds it will send the update. Version 1, it is a class full, and version 2 is classless. Now this is also an advancement of this version 2, that version 1 only supports the class full network, that is like when we do the subnetting or subnet the multiple different subnets, so it will not support that, it will support simple subnets. But version 2 supports the complex subnetting, that is what? Classless network. Then we have version 1 and version 2. So basically class full, that means does not support VLSM, variable length subnet mask, and class 2 is actually supports the VLSM. So version 1 original specification of RIP was published in 1988 and useful for the class full routing. The periodic routing updates do not carry subnet information, lacking the support for variable length subnet mask, VLSM, because actually when they send the network, they don't send the subnet mask. When they send the routing table, they only send the information about network, they don't send the information about the subnet mask. And these limitations makes it impossible to have different sized subnet inside the same network class. In other words, all subnet in the network class must have the same size, and there is also no support for router authentication making RIP vulnerable to various attacks also. And also it does not authenticate. That means when the router 1 is sending the information to router 2, so they will not make authentication. It will accept the information without authenticating. But we have an authentication feature available in RIP version 2. It was developed in 1993 and last standardized at 1998, and it includes the ability to carry subnet information. That means when the router sends the information about the network, it sends the subnet information also to other router, and because of that thus support the classless inter-domain routing, and that means it can support the VLSN. And to maintain backward compatibility, the hop count limit is still to 15 in version 2. And an effort to avoid the unnecessary load, hosts that do not participate in routing version 2, RIP version 2 multicast the entire routing table to all adjacent routers at the address of this multicast, and as opposed to RIP version 1 which uses the broadcast. Now RIP version 2 try to solve the problem by using the multicasting instead of broadcasting. Remember, router RIP version do what? It sends a broadcast. It broadcasts the routing table to other router. Does not verify. But version 2 do what? It does not broadcast. It do the multicast, and it uses this multicast address to send the information to other router. Then unicast addressing is still allowed for special applications, and MD5 authentication for RIP was introduced in 1997. So we have authentication option also available in RIP version 2, which can do what? It can authenticate the other router so that it can get the routing information from there. So it will not get the information from unauthorized source. Then root tags were also added in RIP version 2, and this functionality allows the distinction between routes learned from the RIP protocol and routes learned from the other protocols. So it can understand that route is from RIP or some other protocols. Then one more thing it added is the trigger updates. Trigger update, that means, remember, RIP version was only updating the network after the timer expires. So when the network 10 was down, it was not informing the other router when the timer was there. So when the timer expires, then only it sends the information. But RIP version 2 do what? It do the trigger update. Like the timer is 30 seconds and it is still remaining, and the network is down here, network 10. So it will not wait for the timer to expire. It will directly send the information to the other router. And this router will also send the information to other router without waiting. This is also the improvement we have in version 2. Then we have RIP NG. Now this one is next generation, RIP next generation, and is an extension of RIP version 2. And this is for support of IPv6, the next generation internet protocol. RIP version 1 or 2 was not having the support for RIP IPv6. That is why we have now RIP NG, that is next generation. And the main difference between RIP version 2 and RIP NG, it supports IPv6 networking. And while RIP version 2 and RIP version 1 supports update authentication, RIP NG does not. And RIP version 6, IPv6 were at that time supposed to use IPsec for authentication. Then RIP version 2 encodes the next hop into each route entry, and RIP NG requires specific encoding of the next hop for a set of route entries. So RIP NG sends update on UDP port number 521 using the multicast address of IPv6 multicast group. So RIP version was having a lot of problems, and the problems was solved in RIP version 2. And the problems like it supports the classless routing also, it can support VLSN, then it do multicast instead of broadcast, and also it do the trigger updates. And also it has the authentication feature which was not available in RIP version 1. So this is what the RIP we have. This is the dynamic routing protocol, and we can configure it very easily. but it is not for the big network, it is for the small network. But the benefit of RIP is like it is a very easy to configure, easy to maintain, and it does not put a lot of load on routers also. It works very lightly also. So this is the dynamic routing protocols we have, and one of the protocol we have is RIP.